Hey everyone, how you doing? Dave Morton, the noted anatomist here. It's a Monday night. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I just haven't got around to doing it. Is want to catch everyone up, kind of on what I've been going on in my career the past little bit. I just pulled out my guitar because why not? I figure if I'm just to talk, I might as well play something while we're doing this. But yeah, so the past 26 years. I've been an anatomy professor. And so it all started, sounds like a little country song I'm about to do. So it started in 1999. I did my master's degree and my PhD at the University of Utah. Kurt Albertine was my mentor. So from 1999 to 2001, I did my master's degree. From 2001 to 2003, I did my PhD. And then I got hired right after that as an instructor for a year. And then I got hired on as an assistant professor after that. And then I was, by that time, I thought we would go back to Canada, where we're originally from. And we got hired full-time at the University of Utah, and I started a great career. And during that time, I really had these three different transitions of medical curriculum. The first one I kind of call like an island, in that they were like the silos. Back then, everyone had their own course. So anatomy had its own course, embryo, neuro, pharm, path, organ, like pulmonary had its own unit, cardiovascular had its own unit, GI had its own unit, and basically every department in the School of Medicine housed their own courses. So for me, it was neurobiology and anatomy at the time. So we had our own anatomy course, embryo course, histo course, and neuroanatomy course, and each of those had their own course directors. And shortly out of being in graduate school, I became the course director for anatomy. And so we created the curriculum, everything from labs to lectures. We determined what we taught. We created the exams. We housed the grades. We just told the School of Medicine, hey, this is what the students got. If a student failed, we're the ones who did the remediation. So the really nice thing about that was that we had complete control over it. The problem that I had, and that there was a lot of freedom. The problem was it was really, really hard to do any collaborations. And I felt like it was an island. And so I remember at the time that there were other professors that we tried to get together to do things. Like I remember we tried with family medicine, who was directing at that time the physical exam course. We're like, wouldn't it be great if we taught the anatomy at the same time to do the physical exam? I'm like, that's a great idea. And we could just never get things to work together because the curriculum, the grades, the timing was all very, very siloed. So about 6 years later, I got put on another curriculum. There was, I think it was in 2007, 2008, and we did this other curriculum that was now more of an organ system course. And so they selected 11 faculty members to be on this, 7 clinicians and 4 scientists. And I was one of the basic scientists as an assistant professor. And we created this curriculum from scratch. And it was really exciting. And one of the things they did was every organ system course had a PhD and an MD that co-directed this course. And that was amazing. Now, the other thing at that time, where all the medical schools in the United States, is all power was centralized to the School of Medicine dean's office. So basically all departments no longer had control over everything that they did to the curriculum, the courses, the grades, the assessments. That all was centralized into the School of Medicine, and that you were then selected. And so I, as an anatomist, became a course director for like many of the organ system courses over the next 15 years. Like our Foundations of Medicine course, skin, muscle, bone, and joint, circulation, ventilation, and respiration. What was it called? CRR, circulation, respiration, and regulation. It was the renal stuff. And then also I did a lot with our brain and behavior, a lot with our metabolism and reproduction. The only ones I really didn't do a lot with is host and defense and molecule cells and cancer. But I'll tell you, it was really exciting to that time because, and I realized at the time I would never want to teach in a medical school class again unless I had an MD in there or a DO as well, because I remember I'd be teaching something about cranial nerves and someone would ask a question and I wouldn't have to think in my mind, how do you do this with a patient? I would just stop and I'd turn to whomever the other clinician I was working with, and they would chime in and we continue on to the flipped classroom session. Also during that time, as I went from lectures directly into flipped classroom, that was one of the most fun things to do. So that was like basically the big transition from active learning and that I went. Now, what happened then in the past few years is, so we went from a siloed island curriculum to an organ system curriculum, now to a student-centered curriculum where there was a lot of self-directed learning. So students would then be, we did problem-based learning, and which is one of the best ways for students to learn how to think like a clinician and problem solve. However, it's also one of the most inefficient ways of studying because students are learning a lot of this stuff on their own. And so it is very good for thinking through a lot of information like lab values, imaging, history of present illness, collecting all this information, getting a differential, and then trying to methodically think through how do you get to a diagnosis and potential ways to doing treatment. So that's really, really cool, but it just takes a long time. And so it's inefficient. And we went from a 17-month preclinical curriculum to an 11-month curriculum. So there was, so students become really good at combing through information and coming up with differential. It just takes a long time. So that is something that that's what I've been involved in. And all during that time, I taught medical students, dental students, physician's assistant students, PT, OT, undergraduate, residents, continuing medical education, like the CME stuff, and had like the best career over this past 26 years. And so I'm kind of saying all this because about a year and a half ago, I started having this feeling that there was a change coming. And so, not really understanding the whole thing at the time, I started a process to help bring more faculty into the department to help us to teach anatomy. And so what happened is last summer, I started a transition, not last summer, last fall, I started a transition to a new job. So part of the thing I wanted to mention is I've really enjoyed my career teaching anatomy, histology, embryo, neuro, and about 12 years ago, I started as a core educator for physiology and just found this great love for teaching. At the same time, finding this joy in helping to create curriculum, organ systems courses, in preclinical, and then also a little bit later post-clinical with advanced integrative science courses about how to craft a curriculum to best help med students learn the anatomical sciences and collaborate with clinicians from all backgrounds, from cardiology, pulmonology, nephrology, neurology, psychiatry, family medicine, sports medicine, rheumatology, hematology, pathology. It was this wonderful teamwork. And then also looking at the best way, because medical students are so bright. Medical, PT, OT, PA students, some of the brightest health professional students. And so I've been thinking over my career, how do you best help these students grab this information and best learn it? And so I started doing active learning. Flipped classroom, team-based learning were two of the primary ways that I did it. Paper puzzles, which I'll talk a little bit more later on, were another fun way of trying to help students to learn through retrieval, spacing, and interleaving, these three evidence-based educational tools. And all of these have led to a career change that I just did this past December. I wasn't looking to move from the University of Utah. I love the University of Utah School of Medicine and the health sciences. I loved all my colleagues who I worked with. Absolutely love the students that I work with, all of them from dentistry, PA, PT, OT. And I keep saying it because of how much joy and love I got from teaching them. But this change happened. And so I wish I had been doing this, y'all. Why did I just say y'all? I'm Canadian. Everybody, I wish I had been doing this 10 years ago when I started this YouTube channel. Kind of, chronicling, is that a word? To chronicle? To journal? Yeah, to journal, to record the experiences that I've had in doing this and how the joy I have into teaching and this, and how this new change to be part of a brand new medical school from the beginning. And so that'll be the next little vlog that I do. And so I figure right now, I'm like, well, I have my guitar out. It's all my kids are out at the gym, downstairs playing a video game, and Celine went to help our daughter with something. So I decided, this isn't very professional, I recognize, but I want to just catch everyone up and start this little vlogging, this little journey I have. And since I have my guitar, I figure I might as well do a song. And Simon and Garfunkel is one of my favorite musicians. So I thought I'd do The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel. In addition to talking about my career in medicine. Those two totally go together, don't they? I am just a poor boy, though my story's seldom told. I've squandered my resistance, a pocket full of mumbles, such are promises. All lies and jest, still a man he is, what he wants to hear, and disregards the rest. When I left my home and my family, I was no more than a boy in the company of strangers, the quiet of a railway station, running scared. Laying low, seeking out the poorer quarters where the ragged people go, looking for the places only they would know. La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Asking only workman's wages, I come looking for a job, but I get no offers. Just a hello from the girls on 7th Avenue. I do declare there were times when I was so lonesome I took some comfort there. La 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 la. In the clearing stands a boxer and a fighter by his trade, and he carries a reminder of every glove that laid him down or cut him till he cried out in his anger and his shame, I am leaving, but the fighter still remains. La la la. La 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 la. Thanks, everyone. So when we get together next time, I'm going to talk about where I went, what school I'm at, and what this new adventure is. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, out from the Noted Anatomist.